What's up guys? Hi and welcome to Uncle Scott's Kitchen. In this video, I'm going to show you how to cook bacon in a carbon steel skillet with no sticking. This video is part of a series I'm calling Learning to Cook with Carbon Steel. If you're new to carbon steel, got some new cookware and want to get the most out of it, this is the series for you. Now stick around to the end and we'll touch on the seasoning and the cleanup after the bacon. But the key to cooking bacon in a carbon steel skillet with no sticking is do not preheat the pan. Start with a room temperature pan. Take your room temperature pan and lay out your bacon. And side note here, I'm using a Smithey Farmhouse 12-inch carbon steel skillet. This works equally well with Debouillet's, Matfers, Mauviel's, Lodges, on and on. After you've laid out your bacon, turn the burner on. Low to medium low, want really low heat here. As the pan comes up to temperature and warms up, you will notice that the bacon starts to slowly render out a little bit of fat. Once you see some fat in the pan, give that bacon an early flip. Once that second side starts to render out a little bit of fat, give it a flip again. Then you can turn your heat up. I don't go much higher than medium low to medium when I cook bacon. It keeps kind of the splatter and mess under control. But you can turn it up just a little bit, give that bacon another flip, and boom! Non-stick bacon in a carbon steel pan. Now, a question I often get is, what about the next pan of bacon? If you're cooking a second pan of bacon, you don't have to do this. There's already a lot of hot bacon fat in the pan. You can lay your bacon out in there and it's not going to stick for that second pan. So this is first pan only. Now, I got to admit, I find it interesting. We talked about the importance of pan temperature control when cooking with carbon steel cookware. Here, the pan temperature we start with is room temperature. So sometimes you start with a hot pan and sometimes you start with a cool pan. All part of learning to cook with carbon steel. Now let's check in on the bacon mess cleanup and see how our seasoning reacted when cooking this bacon. All I did here was pour out the excess bacon grease. Then I took some paper towels and wiped out the pan, and almost everything came out. There's just a little bit of gunk stuck on the pan, and I simply used a brush and some hot water, no dish soap, washed this guy out, and all the gunk came out. What about the seasoning? Now, if you have a newer pan, lots of times when a carbon steel pan is new and the seasoning hasn't built up over time yet, bacon is a big offender for removing some of the seasoning. This Smithy that I was using, well over a year old, it's been cooked in a fair number of times, and I didn't need to do any touch-up on the seasoning. However, if you need to do some touch-up on your carbon steel seasoning after cooking bacon, I've got another lesson in this series on how to do a touch-up or maintenance seasoning. Look for a link to that video somewhere on this screen. Thank you for watching. We'll see you again next time on Uncle Scott's Kitchen.